Hello everyone. This video is to demonstrate how we can mimic handwritten pages by using a computer program. Let's say we want to build an intelligent application processing system for a bank which should be able to read what is written on a form. So for such a recognition system to be in place, it needs to be trained beforehand with a very large number of handwritten forms. So how to write a computer program that can produce these number of images that resemble handwritten forms. And when I say handwritten, the form should as much as possible look more like it was filled up by a human and less like a computer generated one. So the solution here is to use the images of individual handwritten alphabets and stick them next to each other to form a longer text like the applicant's details like name or address. Like the example you see here, the name John is formed by padding the individual alphabets together. Since we are generating large number of applications, we will need thousands of mock names and addresses to fill up those forms. We can source these from the web and make our own large dataset. The next step will be to place such image of handwritten text on the placeholders of an application's template to look like it was filled by someone. And to make it more authentic, we can apply some transformations so it doesn't look like a boilerplate output. Also, please note that the solution doesn't cover cursive or continuous handwriting. For now, let us just assume that it is not permitted to use running handwriting on our application forms. Now to source the images of individual characters, I go to NIST, National Institute for Standards and Technology, an American government agency which houses large amounts of data of various nature, which includes handwritten letters and digits as well. One of its databases called NIST Special Database 19 is exactly what we are looking for. There is also a version of it called Extended Modified NIST, in short MNIST, which has images converted to a lower resolution and is made available in a single data file. In that MNIST, we have 8 lakh character images written by 4,000 different individuals, which will form the building blocks to create our application forms. All these 8 lakh images are tagged to the character it represents and to an anonymous ID representing the writer who submitted that sample. So here is a snapshot of the mocks applicant's data that I created by pulling random names and addresses. So each of the rows here will go on top of one application template. So here is the MNIST character set. I have generated a few of them for a demo purpose. As such, we don't have to generate it and keep it on a disk. The program can read it from the data file and handle it completely in memory. And now the first step, concatenating that images to form a text. So the problem you see here is that the spacing is large. Usually a writer doesn't write with so much spacing between the characters. So we should try to bring them closer. Just for illustration, I'm going to be using boxes around the characters to give a better visual of what I'm talking about. So this is the default spacing, which means that the characters are just placed right next to each other. There is no overlap and there is no space between the characters. And now I'm going to start with some spacing. So there is some spacing between each of the characters and I'm going to bring them closer. See, as they have gotten closer, now it looks like the original thing that we just saw. And now I'm going to get it even more closer with a negative spacing between characters. See, they're coming closer and okay. See, as you see here, when they get closer, the characters start hiding the characters before. So that's because the characters are actually they actually have an opaque background, which is here a white background, which starts superimposing on the previous character and starts hiding it partially. So we don't want this to happen. So I am going to make the background of each character transparent. It's not just for the character spacing. Even if you do not want to bring the characters closer, if you still want to put it on a form, this is what the form will look like. The text will have a white background behind it and it will be put on the form, which will not look like something which was written by somebody. So we want to make it look like something like this. So now I have made them transparent, and I'm going to repeat the same step which I did before. So bringing them closer step by step. So they have gotten closer and they are getting even more closer. You can see that there are more vertical lines, and despite some clutter, they are still readable. They are getting closer and you can still read it. Let me get rid of the boxes now. So the characters are getting closer, 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 and they have started to even overlap, but still, it is something readable, very much readable. Okay, it's getting worse. I think then we should set it in a very sensible range within which the computer randomly chooses a spacing. So now time for some more transformation. So I'm going to randomly place the text horizontally, like keep moving it. So now it's moving left, more right, and left, right. So the whole text can be placed, randomly on the form with some horizontal shifts. Now I'm trying the same horizontal shift within a form across lines. So each line will have a different shift, again some random shift. And now some vertical shift. You can see some lines are placed on the line, some very much above, and some could even go behind, below the line. So what about some random shifting at the character level? Some characters go up and some are down. So even that is possible when somebody writes. So let's try to simulate that as well. So till now what we have seen, all the letters were of same size. So now I'm trying to increase the size of the capital letters, and also randomly change the size of the letters. So you can see the letters in caps are bigger, and the characters also keep changing its size. Some getting smaller, some getting bigger. Now putting them all together and reading it from the mock data. So I have some name and address. So if some random characters are assigned for each of the alphabets that make the names and address, this is how it look like. And again, you can see random shift. Vertically they move, horizontally they move, they become smaller, bigger. So one thing that I see here is, each of the characters are totally random. So they just picked up from some random image from that 8 lakh images. Instead, what if each form is filled up with only characters that were submitted by a particular writer? So it will look like a handwriting of that person. So let's try that. So this is it. So now we have some handwriting, some sort of an identity or a characteristic attached to a form. Some person's handwriting like this and some writes like this. Look at this one, this one. So now here, whatever you see here is filled by just one person's handwriting. So now I'm putting them all on an actual application form. So you can see various font sizes, different handwritings, all possible combinations. They move randomly here and there, up and down. Some characters are bigger than the others. So this is like a start. It can go any complex. We can try increasing it by trying to introduce some rotations, trying to add some noise on the form, trying to add some smudges, trying to change the color, contrast, and brightness level, and make it look like more human written form. So that's it. Thank you for watching.